Society doesn't want to talk about menopause. And when they do, they don't make it sound very pretty. So, Walgreens is helping women change the perception and take back the narrative because nothing is sexier than being in control. Menopause is confidence. Menopause is power. Menopause is hot. Let's reframe menopause together. Watch the Menopause is Hot story at walgreens.com/hot.
When it comes to back-to-school shopping at Target, you can choose not to choose. From getting what you need to expressing who you are. With prices that make every choice feel right, why not choose all of the above? From backpacks, bedazzled kicks, and Picture Day Perfect styles as bold as they are. For bring your own lunch days to science project partner days, snack stash days, decorate your locker days, and paint outside the line days. All at prices that will definitely make your day. For all of the above, it's back to school at Target.
So your anchor habit can be anything that feels a little bit hard to do and is a signal to your subconscious of who you are working on and who you are becoming. So this could be, as soon as you get out of bed, you make your bed. As soon as you get out of bed, you journal. As soon as you get out of bed, you jump in the shower, you get dressed for the day. Maybe you put on your workout clothes so you're ready to get your movement in. Maybe you chug a bottle of water so you're getting that hydration. It doesn't matter what it is. It matters that it signals to you who you are. So if I'm going to get up in the morning and drink this terrible protein drink, you better believe that I'm not about to blow my nutrition later in the day when I've already worked so hard to make good choices. So the first thing that you can do to shift, to fix, to augment, to elevate your morning routine is choose one anchor habit for the week and make it non-negotiable.
Hey guys, it's Rach. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And I have a favor, which sounds kind of harsh if we just met, but I'm assuming that most of you have been a part of this community for a hot minute. And so I gotta ask, are you subscribed to the podcast? Subscribing to the podcast you listen to regularly is one of the best things that you can do for hosts like me. It helps to support the show and the staff that works on it. It ensures that you never miss an episode when we drop a new one. And here's the cool thing about subscribing. If you do it and then you hate this show, just unsubscribe. It's one click away. In the meantime, if you're listening, we would so appreciate it if you would just tap that button and make it official.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the podcast and an episode that I'm creating for you because I need it for myself. We're going to talk about morning routine, and we're going to talk about morning routine not from the perspective of waking up earlier, but from the perspective of waking up with a strategy, with a plan. This is so essential inside of each and every day of your life, but this is especially important when you are in the midst of a season that feels chaotic. And girls, girls, let me tell you, I am in a chaos season of my choosing, and there are really good things on the other side of this chaos, but it is wild. It is so wild. And I feel like if I can stay grounded, if I can build that foundation every single day, no matter how crazy things are around me, it is because of the advice I'm going to give you in today's conversation. And if I can do it in the midst of this chaos, I swear if you incorporate even one of these ideas into the start of your day, it is going to help you so much. Let me tell you a little bit about my current chaos. I talked to you guys a little bit over the last few months about the fact that Boo and I bought a house. For those of you who don't know my full story, why would you? That sounds so dramatic. For those of you who are maybe new, we moved back to Los Angeles about 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. And when we moved back, we didn't know which part of town. We both had lived in LA before. I'd lived there for a couple decades. He had lived there for like 7 years or something. We didn't know which part of town we wanted to be in. We picked a central location, just kind of like, here's a spot on the map. We know this area. We picked a spot. We rented a house and we moved back because I was like, I don't know where I want to be. I don't know exactly where my kids are going to go to school. Let us get there, get settled, and then make a decision. So we rented a house, and then I knew that eventually the goal was to buy a house again, but I didn't know where it was going to be. And so like a lot of people who love to romanticize real estate, I would probably like once a month scroll through Zillow, see if there was anything there. This is a lot of information to tell you that we ended up finding this house that was so cool, but is a total remodel, like a full-on fixer-upper. It's 100 years old, had not been updated, so much potential, but just a lot was required. And I felt really excited about the process because I've done remodels before. I know how cool it can be to like completely build and make choices for your family while also restoring like the history of this house. All of that to say, y'all, we bought that house many months ago. And anyone who's ever done a remodel knows it takes twice as long as you think and costs 3 times as much. We find ourselves supposed to be done with phase 1. Phase 1 is like all the bathrooms, like a bunch of stuff happening upstairs, the kids' bedroom, our bedroom. That was supposed to be done last week. And those of you who have done a remodel, you're already laughing because, girl, you know that was not done last week. Currently recording this episode for you in an Airbnb because we moved out of our rental and thought that the house was going to be ready. It is not ready. Girl, it is not even close. Like not a single bathroom, not a wall. Like it is, oh wow. We're in an Airbnb and then we're taking Jackson on a senior trip. I don't know if y'all saw that on Instagram. We're taking Jackson to Iceland, just me, him, and Kez. We're going on that trip. When we come back, we've told our contractor, like, we have to move in. Like, there is not another option. We have to move in. And he's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, no, absolutely not. You are already supposed to be done last week. And this scenario gives you 3 weeks past when you'll be done. I don't need it to be perfect. I need one working bathroom. I got 4 kids. I would like all my bathrooms, but I'll take 1 toilet, 1 shower. It doesn't even have to be in the same bathroom, okay? I just need 1. So that's phase 1, supposed to be done last week. Definitely not. We're praying and crossing our fingers that it'll be done when we get back from this trip. And phase 2 is the kitchen, which has been demoed. So there's just like a big cavernous hole where the kitchen should be. We submitted the architectural plans for the permits. I promise we're going to talk about morning routine. I'm just venting to you. You'll be my therapist for today. So we submitted the plans. There's just like 15 things that were wrong with them. So, I don't know. I really don't know when those are going to be done. But the house is chaos. Work is so busy. It's super exciting. We have so many awesome projects launching this fall. But I just feel like, I don't know, you have those times where you're like, there's so many things, like where do I even begin? And when I have that overwhelming feeling, everything is about coming back to grounding. And it's really hard because I am a homebody. It is so much part of my character. That is how I ground myself, is to be at my home with my things in my nest. And it's really interesting because I'm married to a man who spent 2 decades on tour. And so he is so good at grounding himself and being present and making home wherever he is. Me, I'm like, where's my teapot? Like, I want to sit on that spot on my sofa. And so I'm just like, okay, we can focus on the things we can control. We can, look at our results list, knock one item off at a time, do the most we can in the hours that we have. But I will tell you what, we do not create the habits and the rituals around morning routine, health, mental well-being, like all of those things that we are constantly trying to bring into our day. We don't create those in the chaos. We create those habits and routines when it's calm so that they are there for us when it's chaotic. Because life is never going to be just one thing. It's always going to be a mix, right? It's going to be seasons of peace and tranquility, and it's going to be seasons of chaos. And, you got to sprint, or it's back to school, or you're trying to get your thesis done, or work's, putting a lot of overtime on you. Like whatever you find yourself in, creating those rituals that allow you to take the breath, feel grounded, have a strategy, and then keep going is what will allow us to not lose momentum. Because what I've done so many times in the past, like when I was younger and I would go into these seasons of overwhelm, I would just sort of stop doing everything that was sustaining me, everything that was getting me where I wanted to go. I would stop doing all of those things because I'd be like, well, I can't take on all of this. So I'm just going to hit pause. I'm going to start eating bad food again. I'm going to stop working out, stop moving my body, stop stretching, stop drinking water, stop meditating. Like I'd stop doing all the things that were really life-giving and sustaining because I would just sort of go to this survival mode. And what's so frustrating about that process is that when you're in seasons of chaos, it's already stressful. So if you're adding all of these choices that are exacerbating the stress, you come out the other side and you are, first of all, you're nowhere close to your goals. You're actually way further than you were. And you do survive the stress. You do survive the hard times. You do survive the chaos. So if you know you're going to come out the other side, you may as well come out the other side strong. Now, I'm not going to say that I've ever perfectly navigated a chaotic season and thrived through the process. I think that would be disingenuous to tell you that I'll come out the other side of all of this and be like, oh, wow, I really thrived the last 9 months. I don't think I'm going to tell you that. But I am going to survive it with me intact. And I am going to come out the other side having produced a lot of results for myself and my family and my home because I was willing to go into that hard season. Whether you're in a season of feeling calm and peaceful, and this is when you're building some great routine that's going to help you, or maybe you're in a season that's really hard and you need to pick one of these things today, I would love to help you fix your morning routine. In fact, I would love to give you 5 tactical shifts. You know I love a tactic. So 5 tactical shifts that you can do. Amazing if you can do them all. Amazing if you can consider them all. But even if you can't, pick one of these and incorporate it into your life starting today.
I love Saturdays because Saturdays are when we feast. It's when we have our favorite foods, our favorite snacks, and one of our go-tos, I kid you not, is a PB&J. It's so classic. It's so delicious. The PB&J is the OG. It's the greatest of all the sandwiches. And Smucker's fruit spreads are fruity, jammy goodness. If you've got a great nut butter and a great Smucker's jam, oh my gosh, they're sweet, they're smooth. It's all the things I'm here for. I'm actually making myself really hungry. I know it's just jam and nut butter, but somehow it gets the job done every single time. Because no matter how much changes, PB&J is deliciously dependable and classic for a reason. Get Smucker's Jam and make the OG PB&J. Visiting South Dakota was always one of my someday things. Like, well, someday I'm going to go see the Dakotas, and someday I'm going to walk through Badlands National Park, and someday I'm going to see Mount Rushmore in person. And then a couple summers ago, I just made someday today, and it was awesome. The kids and I had the most amazing time. We went hiking. We saw Mount Rushmore, which is like shockingly more majestic than you think it would be. We had amazing dinners. We stayed in this awesome log cabin in a national park. It was truly one of our favorite family vacations. And I loved it because it was this great blend of seeing a part of the US I'd never seen before and being outside in nature. So maybe it's time you turn someday into today. See why there's so much South Dakota and so little time. Plan your escape at travelsouthdakota.com.
The first piece of advice I'm going to give you, and this is like so essential for a season that feels stressful, is choose an anchor habit. An anchor habit or a cornerstone habit. I don't know if you all have heard this term before, but an anchor habit is something that you do that sort of kicks off the rest of the day, kicks off the rest of the routine in a solid way. So it's doing something within the first hour of waking up in the morning that really anchors you to the rest of your goals. It anchors you to the person you are becoming, to the person you have worked so hard for the last few years to get to. It anchors you to that version of yourself. My anchor habits have shifted and changed over time because the anchor really is tied to where you are in your personal development journey. So back in the day, my anchor habit was waking up early. It was setting the alarm for 5 a.m. It was waking up before my kids, before my partner. It was waking up before everybody else and using that time to work on myself. Y'all have heard me talk about this a million times. Wake up 1 hour earlier, use that time for you, right? That was my first real anchor habit in the morning. And by getting up at 5 a.m. and starting my day before everybody else, it reminded me of who I was trying to become and who I am and what I was working on. So I was beginning each and every day like, oh yeah, I'm part of the 5 a.m. club. I'm part of the people, the entrepreneurs that are out here getting stuff done. So my anchor was tied to where I was in my journey. My anchor habit has shifted and changed over time because as you begin to establish things and they become a part of you, that habit is ingrained now. And because it's not hard to do, at least for me, it doesn't necessarily anchor me into a new version of myself because I'm not consciously thinking of it. So my anchor habit for the last several months is so lame. It's so lame. It's never good. It's never a good time. But I do it every single day. So if you listen to my episode a couple of weeks ago where I talked about losing weight during perimenopause, I laid everything out for you. I talked to you about my nutrition, my working out, how much things have shifted in this stage and age of my life. It's episode 861. If you want to go back, it's like 2 weeks ago. So in that episode, I talked to you about this thing that I do, which is kickstarting my metabolism by having protein within 30 minutes of waking up. So within 30 minutes of waking up, before I even have my coffee, I go into my kitchen and I put a scoop of protein powder in my shaker bottle and I add water and I shake it up and I drink it. within 30 minutes. It's awful. It's disgusting. It's like, it's vanilla. Everyone's like, is it flavored? Yes, I use momentous, vanilla flavored. It's still not good. I don't know anybody who wants to have protein powder and water within 30 minutes of waking up. But I have noticed such a difference. I can't go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear all the things that have improved in my life. But this is an anchor habit for me because I'm not even really awake yet. I haven't even had coffee yet, but I am already setting the tone for the way I live my life first thing in the morning. So your anchor habit can be anything that feels a little bit hard to do and is a signal to your subconscious of who you are working on and who you are becoming. So this could be as soon as you get out of bed, you make your bed. As soon as you get out of bed, you journal. As soon as you get out of bed, you jump in the shower, you get dressed for the day. Maybe you put on your workout clothes so you're ready to get your movement in. Maybe you chug a bottle of water so you're getting that hydration. It doesn't matter what it is. It matters that it signals to you who you are. So if I'm going to get up in the morning and drink this terrible protein drink, you better believe that I'm not about to blow my nutrition later in the day when I've already worked so hard to make good choices. So the first thing that you can do to shift, to fix, to augment, to elevate your morning routine is choose one anchor habit for the week and make it non-negotiable.
Okay, my next piece of advice is actually brought to you by a partner. I am partnering with Walgreens to talk about perimenopause. Yeah, you didn't think that I was going to turn the morning routine into a perimenopause conversation, but I assume that most of you are my age or going to be my age or maybe a little bit older, so you get it. Because here's the thing that nobody talks about when it comes to morning routine at our age. And that is, you have to take your hormones into account. You have to be mindful of where you are within your cycle and how you are feeling mentally and emotionally and even physically in order to be the most successful version of yourself. I have said this so many times over the years, and I really hope that this is a truth for y'all as well. You have to set up a morning routine that works for you. Not your mama, not your sister, not me, not who you were when you were 25, who you are today, and what's going on in your life. So, if you're in an era where hormones are running the show, especially if you're perimenopausal like me, remember that your body is shifting the way that you're going through life. And so your body is going to ask for something different inside of your morning. For example, if your hormones are messing with your sleep schedule, maybe you didn't wake up with a ton of energy. Maybe you're exhausted from staying awake the night before. For me, my mind tends to race when I'm going to bed at night, not from anxiety. I just sort of get excited, planning out a room that I'm going to decorate or figuring out the next book I'm going to write. It's actually really good energy, but it really messes with my sleep. So if I didn't sleep well last night, I'm probably going to have to adjust the routine to accommodate where I am today. Or I've had times where I wake up feeling anxious. My heart's racing, or I'm already kind of going to negative thoughts. Maybe my cortisol is spiking, which can feel really intense when those hormones are shifting. I wanted to bring hormones into this conversation because it's important to be graceful with yourself for where you are and how things are functioning, right? But I also think there's a lot of conversations around perimenopause and menopause that historically has been kind of a bummer. People talk about it in really negative ways. And so many of the things I saw growing up were about hot flashes and just all of these bad, awful things that would happen to you once you got to a certain age. But there's actually a lot of really great stuff that's happening in perimenopause too. Now, to be fair, I have a lot of hard symptoms. You guys have heard me talk about it endlessly on this podcast. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. There are things about the last handful of years that have been really difficult. There's also some awesome things that happen inside of this season, right? Like, have you seen that whole campaign that's going around on social media about like no F's left to give? Like, part of getting older is just, I cannot care. I just cannot. I cannot care about so many things that used to worry me. Like, oh, they don't like me, or they don't like my outfit, or what if they think I look funny, or what? Oh, I do not have time for that. Nobody has time for it, but like, I really don't have time for it. And the older I get, the more I feel confident in who I am today and my body and how it looks and how it's functioning. I feel strong in ways I didn't anticipate. I don't know if that's time or wisdom, but it feels important to also talk about the good stuff, right? Your body is changing and you get to know it on a whole new level. To be totally fair, I learned so much about my body and my cycle and how it works based on fluctuating hormones and needing to understand better how to live my life really well. If I was doing an episode on morning routine 10 years ago, I mean, I did, and some of you probably listened to it. We didn't have this conversation at all, but this is what it looks like to change and evolve as a woman. And I thought it was so cool that Walgreens wanted to partner on this because they're working really hard to reframe this conversation. Like, how do you support women? How do you not talk down to them? Perimenopause and menopause is not something to hide. It's something to own. Yeah, things are changing. And things are also changing for the better. Walgreens is here for women through every stage of their life, including this one. And when they asked me if we could have a conversation about de-stigmatizing this period of our lives, I was like, there has never been a better ask for me personally. So let's talk about it. Walgreens is encouraging women to join the hashtag menopause is hot conversation and to break the stigmas and debunk the stereotypes. You have worked so freaking hard to get to this place in your life, right? You've done the work. You've been working on yourself, your heart, your body, your mind, your business, your family, all of these things for so many years. We are not going to let this season of change derail how hard we've worked to get here. We are not going to let this season of change convince us to dim our light. This is the moment to turn it all the way up. You are not in decline. And yeah, it's shifting, but that's why we're having conversations, continuously having conversations about evolving these habits, these rituals, things like morning routine, things like working out, things like goal setting. They have to shift and change with us. So check out walgreens.com or stop by your local Walgreens to find support and products that you need. Menopause is hot, so let's reframe it together. I haven't told you guys enough about this yet, but I'm remodeling a house. I promise it is going to be in so much of the podcast and the content soon because it's basically taking over my life. But remodeling a house means figuring out all new things, which is why I was really pleasantly surprised to discover that Wayfair doesn't just have furniture. They also have tile and kitchen appliances and literally everything that you can think of to make your house feel like a home. From bedding and linens to storage solutions for every room, Wayfair is your one-stop shop. There's something for every style, every home, no matter your space or budget. I go on there looking for one thing and then all of a sudden I'm like, does no one need a new headboard? Like, it's actually ridiculous. But you can get the big stuff like sofas, dining tables, and beds, along with the little stuff you need to complete your kitchen. Get organized, refreshed, and back to routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Fair.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. Step into the freedom of summer with jewelry that reflects who you are and where you're going. From sunrise to sunset, Pandora jewelry transports you to paradise. No passport required. Think of things like ocean charms, colorful tennis bracelets. You can shop all of these new arrivals to add to your summer staples. Be unmissable and vacation ready. Feel it, live it, embrace it, be love. Shop in-store or online at pandora.net to discover new styles.
The third thing that I would recommend that's going to elevate that morning routine is use a focus window. Use a focus window. Y'all, your goals are not going to happen by accident. I love the idea of manifesting. I love where focus goes, energy flows. I love that we are creating our reality and we can work. But sisters, brothers, you cannot sit on the couch and manifest raising your revenue, getting your dream job, finding the love of your life. You can't sit at home and wish it. You can't just think about it. You can't talk about it. It can't just be the Pinterest board. If you want your goals to happen, you have to create a plan and then you have to work the plan. And I know that you're not going to feel like it every morning. I know. Do you remember my episode from last month? Feelings aren't facts. You need to make choices based on the best version of yourself. So this is particularly powerful if you find yourself in a season that feels chaotic. Like me, I'm working on a lot of projects that launched this fall that I made months ago. And now I find myself in this personal season of a lot of stressful things, right? Because my home is in chaos. But I have to stick to the plan. I know that a calmer version of me, a more grounded version of me, a more visionary version of me, she made the plans for what's happening this fall. She made the plans. And I got to carry them forward. How I feel in this moment, it's real. And I'm doing extra things to take care of myself, to make sure that I'm calm. Like I'm doing these extra things and practicing self-care and being graceful. But I got to work the plan because the plan is a good one. In your morning routine, have some time, set aside some time. I call it a focus window to work the plan. So this can be 10, 15 minutes that you sit down and you prioritize what is going to happen today. So hopefully y'all are planning out your week. I don't care if you are a stay-at-home parent, if you are the CEO of a business that you founded, whatever you are doing, however you are trying to live your life to the best of your ability, you gotta have a plan. You have to have some intention behind what you're doing. If you are not familiar with a Sunday reset is the start of your week. For me, that's a Sunday. For you, that might be another day based on your work schedule. That you sit down and you reset, right? You reorganize yourself, you map out your goals, you map out what you are trying to accomplish in the week that you have ahead. If you don't know how to do that, scroll back to November. Literally November, I did an episode called Sunday Reset. You can find out how to get organized and grounded and start your week well. But the Cliff's Notes version of that, the sort of summary of that episode, is that you take some time on Sunday to plan what your major goals are for the week. Assuming that you have your goals laid out for the week, this 10-minute chunk, this 10-minute window inside of your morning routine is to align your goals for today with the goals you set for this week. You're going to look at the top priorities on that list, on the results list that you have created for this week, and then you're going to match your energy to your task. This is like, I'm writing a book and my goal is to get 2,000 words done. And honestly, when I'm looking at my week, I know that I'm going to have the most energy after lunch because I've got this pocket of time that I can use and the baby's taking a nap, and that's when I'm going to use the time to work on this goal. So as soon as you know when you're going to match your energy to your priority, I want you to immediately put that into your calendar. So you know, okay, today at 1:00, that's my writing time. And you know what? I told myself I was going to get some movement in. And honestly, just the thing that I want to do most today is a nice long walk. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. So you prioritize and map out your day every single morning. Now, I know that ideally you're like, wait, I planned my week on Sunday. Why do I also need to take time each morning? Because you and I both know that there are days when we accomplish everything we set out to, and there are also days where we don't accomplish as much as we hoped. And every single day of the week, you need to be adjusting your expectations. You need to be moving some things around. If you stay on top of your day, you can get to the weekend and have accomplished all of your goals. And maybe you didn't even work on all of your goals each and every day. But because you are staying focused on it, because you know what you need to accomplish by the end of this week, you're making great choices about how you spend your time. I was listening to a podcast episode the other day with the radio host Charlemagne, and he said something I thought was so smart, and I can't believe I've never considered this before. He was like, I am obsessed with how I spend the hours in the day. So he said every single day, still to this point, and if you don't know him, he's like insanely successful, but he's like, still to this day, I write down at the end of the day how I spent my hours because I want to be mindful. Did I waste time? You know, I'm saying that I'm working on these goals. I say that I want to be a good husband or a good father or whatever, but did I actually spend my time? Like, how did I spend my time today? And I thought that was such a wise piece of advice. I think that sometimes we trick ourselves into believing that once we begin to accomplish things, we can sort of let go of some of the tactics that help us get there. Like, oh, once I get to this level, I won't need to be so hardcore about my planning and my productivity anymore. And that is simply not true. The highest achievers I know are as locked in today, if not more so, than they were a decade ago. The training never stops. The work never stops. If you have started to lose traction, if you feel like you are getting off track, it's because you are. Go back to the things you know work. And one of the things that I know absolutely fundamentally will move my needles in the direction that I want them to go is to be very focused on what I need to accomplish and not allow myself to make excuses for why that thing isn't done. Like, get it done. Work the plan. Create the plan and then work the plan. I was just thinking about this the other day. I was out on a walk and I made this video. I ended up putting it into the broadcast channel on Instagram. If you don't know about this, I have this channel on Instagram. If you look below my bio, there's like a little link. It says Rach Talk. And it's a channel where I just put, it's like for the people who are really diehard fans, I guess. And I just like send little things. It's stuff I don't put anywhere else, but it's like motivational, and I share like literally songs, or I'll leave voice notes, or I'll send pictures of like, guys, I'm baking or whatever. So if you're into that, go check that out on Instagram. But I made this video that I put on there because I needed the reminder. And it's this: you have to do the thing that works. Like, it's as difficult and as simple as that. You have to keep doing the thing that works. The silly reason for me making this video was the other day I looked in the mirror and I'm like, wow, my rosacea is really bad. I've had rosacea my whole life. It's not a big deal, but I am really mindful that your skin is an indication of what's going on health-wise. And my rosacea was really popping. And not just red on my cheeks, but also the texture of my skin was changing. And I felt like that was so wild because I've been eating so healthy. And I knew nutritionally my skin should be the best it's ever been. So I was like, what is going on? And then I realized, oh my gosh, I stopped using my red light mask. Like I stopped using red light mask. I use a red light mask all the time. It really helps with rosacea. And I hadn't used it in like a month. And I am just, it's so ridiculous. I'm 42 years old. And the fact that I still have to remind myself, like, yeah, dude, when you find a thing with the red light mask or going to therapy or taking your supplements, like when you find a thing that helps you, you have to keep doing the thing and focusing on what you want to accomplish, making sure that you are staying close to that list. It takes 5 minutes, guys. 5 minutes in the morning while you're having your coffee. Look at your calendar, look at your notebook. What are we doing today? What absolutely gets done? How am I going to show up in this world? Create a focus window. Stay off social, stay off email. Do not get on your phone. Your focus window can turn your morning from reactive to strategic. All right, next piece of advice. Use your morning to batch something that your future self will thank you for. Okay, I am obsessed with batch work. Not to be boastful, but I think I am probably the most productive person I know. If I ever look at what I accomplish in a week, I'm pretty freaking proud of myself between parenting, cooking, grocery shopping, cleaning, recording podcasts for y'all, writing books, working on projects. Now we have this house. Like it's wild. And I don't say that to sound fancy. I say that because I really believe that the only reason I am able to be this productive is because I figured out batch work. Okay, if you're not familiar, batch work is where you do tasks that require like a very specific part of your brain. You do all of those tasks at the same time. So in my work, that would look like I'm going to do all of my recording for the podcast on the same day because that requires one type of my brain, right? But preparing the podcast, like I'm talking to you right now and I'm looking at notes in my notebook. I made these notes on a completely different day. And if I have to do something where I'm on camera, like if I'm, creating something for social media, that's a completely different part of my brain as well. If I'm answering emails, different part of my brain. If you're on my Sunday newsletter, if you get the newsletter, I write those and I have written those for years. But true story, I write my emails 6 weeks at a time. I know what's happening in my week. So if you get an email from me and I'm like, hey guys, I'm in Iceland. I am in Iceland when you're getting that email, but I probably wrote that email a couple of weeks before I went to Iceland so that I could actually go spend time with my family and not have to be sending an email in real time. I batch my work. And I swear there is no greater hack for getting more accomplished because batching your work puts you in flow state. You're not even thinking about it. You can just do so much more than you can otherwise. A hack that I have is to use a part of that morning routine to build something, to do something, to accomplish something that's going to serve you all week long. And to batch it means to really get specific about, okay, what are all the things that I need to do and what could I knock out in the next 15 minutes? I love this too because it makes me feel really accomplished. For instance, I woke up this morning, let's talk about email. I write all of the emails. I have a wonderful member of my team named Vicky, and Vicky's a freelancer. She lives in England, and Vicky takes all of my emails and inputs them into MailChimp. It's like behind the scenes. Can I do that? Absolutely. But I've discovered that if I let someone else do that, then I get to focus on the parts of my job that only I can do. So only I can write for you, but someone else can put that into the email and make it look pretty. So I write all of my emails. I send them to Vicky. I woke up this morning and Vicky had created 6 weeks of emails, which is a lot to go through. So even though I write them and I know what's going to be in them, I then go back through and read what she's done. I look through the photos. Is this pretty? And that takes some time. But that is the perfect task to accomplish while I was having my coffee. Okay, so I had done all my grounding stuff and I was at the part of my morning routine. Kids are still asleep. I'm getting ready to go work out, but I was like, could I knock out something really quickly that I'm going to appreciate that I've done it already? So could I knock this out in the next 15 minutes? So I just sat there while I had my coffee, got my laptop, and I proofread all of the things. I sent her notes on some that needed to be changed. Can we swap out this picture? This link is broken. I did that really quickly, and it's done. And now my inbox is, everything's open, it's accomplished. Like I've done those tasks and my future self is really appreciative. So what would this look like for you? If you have a job that's similar to mine, is part of your morning routine sketching out ideas for what your podcast is going to be about? If you are a homemaker, is part of your morning routine meal prep? Or planning, maybe you're just planning your grocery list. Or I can't tell you how often I use my morning routine to create the grocery list for delivery. I've used morning routine to outline projects. I've recorded a voice memo to send to Jack, hey, can we do this, this, and this, so that when he opens up his Slack, it's ready to go. It doesn't have to be some major knock it out of the park thing, but could you batch some work today that then you don't have to think about for the rest of the week? Have you ever heard that idea that you should touch something once? Try and touch something once so it doesn't take up space in your brain. Like, yep, I got to get those groceries ordered. Boom, it's done. I don't have to think about it anymore. So use part of your morning routine to batch something that's going to move you forward. This is how you can stay ahead of the game. This is how we can do things without burning out. Because you're investing in future you. You're like taking care of future you so that you don't have to worry about it later. My last piece of advice, something that will elevate your morning routine, something that can really help you be more strategic, be more productive, get where you're trying to go. And that is strategically romanticize one part of your morning routine. Okay, so what does this mean? Strategically romanticize. I made this up. I literally, because I've heard all of these things about romanticizing your life. I've definitely talked about it. There's really beautiful videos on social media. And I think this idea is so important. I am so about the stories that we tell ourselves. And I think the way we go through the day and how we show up in the world and how we care for ourselves and the environments that we're inside of, I really think that adds to the way that we see ourselves and who we are becoming. I absolutely believe in romanticizing your life. But if you're in a chaotic season, if you're a busy parent, if you're working 3 jobs, if you got a lot going on, you and I both know you don't have time to romanticize each and every part of your day. But could you pick one moment in your morning routine to romanticize? Romanticize means that you elevate that part of your routine and you do it with intention. And the reason I use the word strategic is because I want you to pick a part of your morning routine that indicates who you are becoming. Who are you becoming? Who is the future version of you? Which part of this morning routine is the future version of you? And how do we make that part a bigger deal? Maybe it's wearing like a beautiful robe while you have your coffee because you're trying to live a more beautiful life. Maybe it's a playlist you put on in the morning and it's filled with songs that make you feel strong and powerful because you're working on your confidence. Maybe it's lighting a candle while you do your morning journaling session because you're trying to be one of those girlies. Like, what is something that you can do that your future self would do automatically? But when you act like her, when you act like him, you become him. You become her. This is identity work. It's not about something cute to put on social media. It's identity work that keeps you connected with your next level self. So pick one detail, one part of your morning routine, and elevate it. Make it more of a deal. Make it more beautiful, not for anybody else, but for you. We have to practice who we are becoming day in, day out. And ideally, you will begin to walk like this version of yourself, talk like this version of yourself, dress like this version of yourself. But until this version of yourself can do all of those things, at the very least, bring them into small, intentional moments when you start your day. I would love it if you would consider trying one of these things, just one shift, one thing you can do every single day this week, so that by the weekend, you know whether or not it was effective for you. I know that it is hard to feel grounded when you got a lot going on, but I also know how important it is when you are working on yourself, when you are working on your goals, to have something you can do that reminds you who you are and where you are going. I hope that something I said today was helpful as you navigate the week ahead, and I hope you will consider sharing this episode with a friend if you think they would dig it too. We will be back next week with more conversation, but until then, as always, I love you, and I'm rooting for you.
The Rachel Hollis Podcast is produced by me, Rachel Hollis. It's edited by Andrew Weller and Jack Noble. Have you ever noticed how celebrities have brighter, whiter looking eyes? Their makeup artists have a little secret in their kit: Lumify Redness Reliever Eye Drops. Lumify dramatically reduces redness in just 1 minute. It literally happens right before your eyes. It helps your eyes look brighter, whiter, and more awake for up to 8 hours. No wonder Lumify is so loved by influencers, celebrities, and makeup artists, and has over 6,000 5-star reviews on Amazon. Lumify is also the #1 eye doctor recommended redness reliever eye drop, and it's FDA approved. No bleach, no dyes, just incredible results. Plus, it's made by the eye care experts at Bausch & Lomb. So whether you're on set, on a date, or running on just a few hours of sleep, Lumify can help your eyes look brighter and whiter. When you try it, you'll see that it's what your eyes have been looking for. Check out LumifyEyes.com to learn more.
Hey everybody, it's Rob Lowe here. If you haven't heard, I have a podcast that's called Literally with Rob Lowe. And basically it's conversations I've had that really make you feel like you're pulling up a chair at an intimate dinner between myself and people that I admire, like Aaron Sorkin or Tiffany Haddish, Demi Moore, Chris Pratt, Michael J. Fox. There are new episodes out every Thursday. So subscribe, please, and listen wherever you get your podcasts.